Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Boy, I am fired up for our guests today. Before I introduce you to them, here's a quote just for this episode. An innovation to be effective has to be simple and it has to be focused. It should do only one thing. Otherwise, it confuses. If it is not simple, it won't work. Everything new runs into trouble. If complicated, it cannot be repaired or fixed. All effective innovations are breathtakingly simple. Indeed, the greatest praise an innovation can receive is for people to say, "This is obvious. Why didn't I think of it?" Even the innovation that creates new uses and new markets should be directed towards a specific, clear, designed application. It should be focused on a specific need that it satisfies, on a specific end result that it produces. Peter F. Drucker. Our guest today did something, I think, simple and profound. Over 2 decades ago, they had an idea with a partner to sell hats. What started with probably doubt and a bit of curiosity, our guest today turned into a freaking nationwide, worldwide disruption, as they say, and is the co-founder of Hat World and Lids International. Currently today, Make My Cap founder. I was introduced by this person by a dear friend who's a freaking innovator himself and someone that's out of their mind in the best possible way. Like not even a week ago that I will have to talk. If you listen to this podcast, you know that person on the show, the one only, the real Mark Perkins. But our guest today is Glenn Campbell. The original culture man. I'm so glad to have you on the show. Oh my God.
I mean, I feel like I've known you for years, man. It feels like we've had beers together and started businesses together. I mean, I talked to you for 10 minutes the other day I didn't really know. I was just returning Mark's phone call. I had no idea he had anybody on the call. And then he goes, "Hey, by the way, I got a guy on my podcast here." And I'm going, "Hey, I love it." So
I should say at one point in time, Mark was working for you, I believe, at Lids. Is that correct?
he was. We hired a 19-year-old kid who didn't really go to college. And back then, really, hell, back then, anytime you're looking for good people. So who cares if they're 19, one leg, long hair. At the time, it doesn't matter what they look like, who they are. If they were good, they were good. We were just looking for people to, you're looking for your 12 apostles when you start out. And Mark was one of those guys. He was, this guy had energy. He would do anything. He was just one of those guys you fell in love with, man. And what happened is Mark worked for us for 5 or 6 or 7 years and he became bored. I mean, the guy, we couldn't, and I wish I'd have known it back then. You start a company, you grow, and you wish you could keep everybody, but that's a guy that got away. And no hard feelings. I love the guy. I kept in touch with him. And when he started doing what he was doing, I don't know why he never asked me to get involved, but I'd have bet everything I had on that guy, because you don't invest in businesses, you invest in people. And that guy is a winner. He's a winner. So, I mean, I'd invest in that guy and he's going to be rich. He already probably is. And Sal and all his guys there. And here I am just trying to make a buck. But Mark worked for me for 6 or 7 years. Just incredible, man.
You're saying you don't invest in businesses, you invest in people. What do you mean by that?
Oh man, I would, I've been approached by a lot of private equity firms or buddies doing things, and it all depends on the people involved in it. There are a million great ideas, but not everybody can turn a great idea into a successful idea. So I'm involved in a hotel venture here in town. It opened up 4 or 5 years ago. It's Courtyard Marriott. We're ranked in the top 10, not 10%, top 10 Courtyard Marriotts in the country from Marriott standards. It was an old building that we refurbed downtown. It was a big rental, man. It cost us a lot more money than we thought. There's about 5 or 6 investors in it. But the reason I got involved in it is because the people that were involved in it, 3 or 4 guys that I knew, they had money, but I knew when we did it, this was going to be special. And there's 93 rooms, but 31 different kinds of rooms. So instead of like you having a king and a queen and maybe a suite, you go to a Courtyard Marriott and there's 3 different room types. So this one's got 31 based on the way the building was laid out. So one was a garage for an old, part of this building was an old garage for a car dealership. It's where they used to work on cars. So that's got a garage door opening. It's closed, but the windows are little in it. So everything is so unique. The 3rd floor is law offices. So there's fake law offices along that entire floor. So it's just a unique building. And again, I've invested in a 100 different things, but the idea is one thing, but the people executing that idea it's 99% of it.
I don't recall the last name, but there was a gentleman by the name of George, who was a professor who worked with or knew Scott, your partner for the original My Hat. Burger. What was it about you and Scott that he saw, do you think? And
that's a great, wow. You did do your homework. I'm impressed.
Hey, George, Mark Perkins put me on this. I'm on, I better do a good job.
He is George Berger. So when Scott and we were both pretty successful Foot Locker guys. And so Scott and it was in 94, we both had some life changes, right? And we looked at each other and we said, dude, we can open this hat store thing. What do we need to do here? We don't have any money. Let's drop a business plan. Scott goes, let's put a business plan together. I'll put it in front of my old professor, George Berger. He lives in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So we flew up there, met with George. He saw the business plan, said, fellas, I love it. And he goes, what I like the most is you guys. You guys are retail guys. You've been in retail for 7 or 8 years. You're successful. So you guys can pull this thing off. Now, how do we raise money? And he was kind of a venture capitalist. He had started a few funds. And he says, guys, here's what we'll do. We'll get a bunch of the local people together that I know, and we'll set up at the public library. And I will bring people in 2 different, like we'll do a 6 to 7 and a 7 to 8. And you guys just pitch the idea to people. And so, dude, we flew to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Scott and I'd never been there in my life. And Scott and I are staying at some, Hampton Inn or something across from the library. And so we go to get dressed about 5 o'clock that day. And I go to put my suit on and I grabbed the wrong suit. I only had 2 suits at the time. And this suit was from my 8th grade graduation. The pants wouldn't even come up above my crotch. So I had a shirt and a tie that fit, but the pants, they were high waters and I couldn't even button them. So I go, what the hell am I going to do? So I said, tell you what I'll do. We'll walk across. I look like Ferris, I look like, whoever. I'm trying to think of the crazy comedian with the short pants, whatever. So he talks funny, got his back. I can't remember who I'm thinking of, but anyway, we're walking across the street and I'm holding my coat over my crotch. We get in there and I shake hands with people. I'm just holding, because I can't zip it up. Everything, junk's hanging out. So I'm going, hell, we're not going to raise a dime. And so we get there and thank God we sit down at a big table and we talked all night to people and we were able to raise about $150,000 that night. And I'm talking checks, $5,000. One guy had just sold a bunch of beauty salons. He wrote a check. There was 3 or 4 old ladies that walked in. They crocheted hats. They thought if we started a hat store, we'd carry their crocheted hats. And of course, then we told them we would. And we had no. So bottom line is, by hook or by crook, we raised about $150,000. And that's really what George did. George, he helped us raise the first money. And then about the first 4 or 5 years, as we needed money, really probably the first 2 or 3, he was kind of that. He was chairman of the board. Which we only had a board of 3, and he was just kind of that sounding board. He knew nothing about retail, didn't know anything about hats, wouldn't have been good at any of that, but he was a good he was a professor, man. He had that sort of calming professor-like demeanor, and he helped us through the first 2 or 3 years. I tell people all the time, he doesn't get any credit. If we wrote a book, he would get a chapter by himself, but people don't know him. Scott and I are the ones that you can look them up and you can find us, we've done videos and we've done stuff. Poor George is in the background, and he did as much as anybody.
What was his, what did he teach?
He taught entrepreneurship, so business classes. Yeah, so he was perfect.
Did he give you guys advice before you decided to show up like Steve Urkel, by the way?
Yeah, Steve Urkel, exactly. That's who I'm thinking of, Steve Urkel.
Did he give you advice, like how to approach that?
He really did, man. He said, just be yourself, sell the idea, and the idea was kind of crazy. I mean, selling it to regular people was sort of easy early on, because people go, oh yeah, that's going to work. My kids wear hats. I wear hats. Now, when we had 5 stores and we were growing a little bit, we opened 5 stores. We opened 1 store in 1995, opened 4 more in 96. And in late 96, George goes, hey guys, I think I can get you in front of a bigger group, a private equity group called Blue Stem Capital. They're based in Sioux Falls. And he goes, Paul Schock, Steve Kirby. I still remember the 2 guys' names. Steve Kirby, if you look him up, he was the lieutenant governor of South Dakota at the time. The governor had died in a plane crash. Steve, being the lieutenant governor, took over as governor. So we got to meet Steve. We met these guys. They came down to Indianapolis, drove around to all 5 stores, and they go, fellas, we like the idea. Fly up, pitch this group. It's called Blue Stem Capital. It was their very first fund. They had 10 very wealthy investors sticking $500,000 each, $500,000 each. So they had a $5 million fund, and they were going to give $1 million to 5 different startups. And so we went up there and pitched. Now that pitch was a hell of a lot more intense. I don't know that we were any more intelligent than we were the first time, but we started going, hey guys, here's who we are. Here's what we've done. We've got 5 stores open. We're already making money, not a lot, but we're making money. We run a tight ship. You give us $1 million. We think we can turn this into a regional chain, sort of a Midwest chain of hat stores. And I remember all these guys in there, different backgrounds, but one guy was a big old burly guy, stood up. He owned a bunch of Burger Kings. I don't know if he had just sold them or he had a bunch of them. And he goes, guys, are we seriously thinking about giving $1 million to 2 clowns selling baseball hats? That's what he said. And he sat back down, and I looked at Scott and I go, this may not be going very well. But turns out they did give us $1 million. And fast forward, they gave us $1 million then. We grew it. They kept giving us money along the way. Obviously, they gave us money for ownership. I wish we'd have known more back then, because I think we gave up too much. Didn't know that at the time, because we needed cash. They had it. But they ended up putting $9 million in from 1997 till 2004 when we got sold to Genesco. So in 7 years, they put $9 million in. We flew up there after that happened and handed them a check for $63 million.
Holy moly.
They 9X their money. And we were the only one of them. So they picked 5 startups. We were the only startup that made money for them. So
what was the plan at that time? What did you show them or say to them?
Really, that's a great question, because, we were great operators. So selling the operation was easy. Scott and I to this day are great operators. We know how to buy. We know how to hire people. People enjoy working for us. Scott was very intelligent on the back end. So systems wise, Scott worked in a distribution center at Target. And so he understood that part of it. I was the front facing guy. I could hire people like Perkins and get people to do things. And, so I was dealing with the vendors and the league. So we had all of that. It was just a matter of, was the concept legit? And we convinced them that, hey, man, this was in the mid 90s. There is no internet at this time, right? Internet didn't come along to around 2000, 2001. So there was no web. So guys, if somebody wants a Sioux Falls hat, well, shit, they got to go to Sioux Falls to get a Sioux Falls hat. If I live in Missouri, the only way I'm gonna do is call somebody and say, send me a Sioux Falls hat and mail it to me. Or if I'm going to Sioux Falls and I'm taking a vacation, as a kid, we always went into places, go, Dad, I want a hat. From wherever we went, we'd buy a hat, right? So we said, guys, women have all kinds of stores. Bath and Body Works at that time was a category killer. And we go, if women can walk into a store and buy $5 soaps and lotions, and that place is exploding, then why can't a men's hat store, and not really for men, but at that time, more guys than gals shopped at a hat store. every guy in the world will drop in every location we have and we'll kill it because people will buy multiple hats wherever they're. You got a guy living in Missouri that's a Packer fan. He's also a Brewers fan. He also went to school at Wisconsin, Green Bay. He also likes the Lakers, so he's buying a Laker hat. Who knows? I mean, people, they root for multiple teams for multiple reasons. And plus, they got to have a new Alabama hat every year. I don't want the same old one. I want the new one the coach is wearing, or I want the new one that the players are wearing. And so it was just I mean, people buy hats like crazy. And so it was we caught a concept. People would have worn hats before, but nobody had ever been able to come into a store and see 6,000 or 7,000 hats on a wall and every team that they can imagine. And that's never been done before. And we happen to be right about that one.
You were 87, you started Foot Locker, 90, you have your store, and you're selling a lot of hats at that Foot Locker store, right?
Yep.
What was the epiphany to start doing that? How did that manifest originally? Because that was originally at Foot Locker, correct?
Yep. We were at Foot Locker. Scott and I both were. And so at Foot Locker, man, we worked like crazy. And after work, we'd always end up at a bar. That's probably why my first marriage ended when I was 29. But at the time we were all in, we were work. And so we'd work from 8 to 9 and then 9:30 close the store down, go to the bars till midnight. And that's just kind of what we did. And that's where we talk shop. And I'd just go, Scott, dude, all these guys are walking in with their shoes, especially in the urban mall I worked. I worked in Lafayette Square. It was an urban mall in Indianapolis. And man, first and the 15th of the month when people got paid, dude, they were walking in, they were buying the new Jordans, the new Agassiz, the new Bo Jacksons, the new Deion Sanders, whatever was hot back in the day. They'd pull up in a red pair of shoes and they'd go, dude, why don't you have any red hats back there? I want a red hat. And I go, well, I got a Colts hat. I got a Pacers hat because that's all I get. So I told Scott, I go, dude, I'm going to start calling every Foot Locker in the country. And I got 400 Colts hats here. I don't need them. I got 400, Pacers hats, so I would start trading Indianapolis type merchandise for Denver or LA so what happened is I grew my hat wall looked like a miniature lid store at the time, what I was creating. And all of a sudden my hat sales went from 0.1% to like 4%. I was 50x the average hat sales of a Foot Locker. So the buyers called me one day and they go, dude, what are you doing that 4% of your sales are headwear? I go, dude, I'm creating a hat store inside the shoe store.
Holy cow.
They go, dude, that's brilliant. And I go, I know. Why don't you guys start sending me stuff? And they did. So all of a sudden, I had a miniature lid. So fellas would come from all around. And I said, dude, I'm going to do this myself. Forget the shoes, forget everything else. Let's just do the hat. The margins in hats were crazy. They still are. Don't let anybody tell you. The margins in hats are big. So if you're paying $40 for a hat, chances are the margins are 60 to 70%.
Let's think for a second that one of the listeners is in a position of authority and one of their people has a great idea. How do they not make the mistake Foot Locker executive leadership made to not bring you up the chain and try to scale that?
Yeah, no. I don't know that I ever gave them the chance. We never really went to them and said, man, we ought to be doing this. Is one of those things when you saw it, the light bulb went off and said, dude, we could do a small store, very little rent, margins are high. We started running the numbers. God, if we sold 1,000 hats a year, 3,000 hats a year, 5,000 hats a year, let's create a club where somebody comes in. If they buy so many hats, they get one free. We were thinking of all these things and we finally looked at each other and said, shit, let's just do it. Let's just do it and let's see what happens. And, again, a lot of brilliant ideas out there. Not all of them come to fruition. This one just happened to be right place, right time. What's crazy is we started Hat World in 95, November 3rd, 1995. A couple kids, Doug Carp and trying to think of the other kid's name. Ben Fishman, Carp and Fishman. Their fathers were billionaire land developers in Boston. These two young men went to college, got out of college, and they opened a hat kiosk called Lids. We never heard of it. Hell, we're in the Midwest. I'd never been to Boston. So they opened a hat kiosk called Lids in late 94, early 95, about 6 months before we did. We hadn't even heard of that. We opened Hat World in the Midwest And so it was about store 3 that I'm in Champaign, Illinois, store number 3. We're setting the store up. Back in those days, we'd load up a Ryder truck with hats and fixtures. We'd drive to the store because we already had the lease. We'd set up the store in one night. I would stay there. I would hire the crew. I couldn't leave until I hired a whole crew and trained them. So I'd stay a couple of weeks. And in that time, you start meeting people. And some kid comes in, went to University of Illinois. He goes, dude, this looks like a lid store from back east. I go, what the hell are you talking about? I've never even heard of lids. They go, yeah, dude, it looks just like this. Hats everywhere. So I called Scott and I go, dude, have you ever heard of lids? He goes, I don't know what they're talking about. And there's no internet, right? So if you're looking up something, I don't even know how we looked it up. There was no Google. I don't even know how we looked it up. Bought a magazine or call. I don't even really know how. Actually, I know how we did it. We called a guy named Greg Levin. He had started a company called Perfect Curve. And Greg, he had this little contraption that you put your hat on and it curved the bill of the cap. Perfect Curve. So we called Greg. He was based in Boston. I said, Greg, have you ever heard of a company called Lids? He goes, oh, yeah. Ben and Doug, yeah, they got a company out here, the young kids, blah, blah, blah. And go, shit, we're flying out. So we flew out, spent 2 days. They only, at that time, we had 3 stores. They had 14. So it didn't like they were huge. Wow. They had just kind of gotten off. The difference is they started out with 20 million in seed money. We started out with 150,000 in seed money. So these guys had a shitload of money and they were rolling, dude. They were paying high dollars for rent. They were going to the best malls. They were hiring people from Reebok, people from, Brooks Brothers. They were hiring all kinds of people. And here we are, Scott and I just bootstrapping this thing together, hiring people like Mark Perkins. So, it was a difference in philosophy there.
Do you think you think there's advantages to that?
I do.
And if so, what are they?
I tell people all the time, and I've spoke at a bunch of colleges and different presentations. I tell people that we were blessed to not have money in the beginning because they grew and they were the sexy. Every time you talk to vendors, oh, lids are awesome. Why aren't you doing it like lids? And lids was different in the fact we were both selling baseball caps. They were different in the fact that they were a marketing company. Man, they'd show up at the Super Bowl and they'd spend $100,000 and throw balls into the streets. Shit, we didn't have $100,000 to pay our people. So they would hire people. They built systems. They were like an internet company back in that time before the internet. They thought they were going to grow this thing, boom, pop, get to a number and sell it. Well, we met with these guys in the late 2000, the year 2000. They flew us to New York to Wall Street. We met with them late one night, about 7:00. I can't even remember what floor we went to, but we were at Wall Street. None of us, we're all country boys, man. We want, chicken wings and beer is what we eat. We showed up at this place and they had a spread, silverware. They had maids, people waiting on us, and they sat us down and it was Carp and it was their fathers. And then a couple of people with JP Morgan. And so here we got 4 country boys walking in there and they were going, hey, tell you what, we want to buy you guys. And, you guys are kind of got word out there that you're going public. You guys you're only doing 40 million. We're doing 150 million. I go, yeah, but we're making money. You're not. I mean, the rumor is that you guys are doing 150 million, not making money. They go, well, we're there. We're building this thing. It doesn't matter if you make money. You got to tell the story. And we go, yeah, not really. And so we listened and we were respectful, but we left that night, went and had some chicken wings and a beer. And we looked at each other and we go, hey, we'll just pick the pieces up when these guys go bankrupt. And we were kind of laughing. Well, fast forward 6 months, April 1st, 2001, they filed bankruptcy. The bank shut them off. Their investment banker shut them off. And so all of a sudden the whale is belly up and the little minnow is still swimming around. And so we looked at each other and I go, hey guys, this is the time. This is time where the minnow swallows the whale, and let's figure it out.
How did you stay focused in that time?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It was a crazy time because, and I don't think I finished answering your other question. The reason I think it was an advantage is because when you have money, you go do things that when they said to us, it really doesn't matter if you make money, you just got to build a great story. Well, that was the internet boom of just build an internet site and do something and people are going to invest in it.
Yeah.
We go, no. We're from the old school. If you spend $1, you got to make 2. So that's how we were all the way. And so I just think we didn't have money, so we were never tempted to do anything stupid. I don't know if we would have or wouldn't have, but it didn't matter. We couldn't have. So, I mean, we were barely paying ourselves. So, I mean, how we stayed focused, man, it took us the judge gave us like 2 weeks when we said this, because all the creditors wanted money. And so they wanted lids to liquidate and they wanted to get money. And so we went in, so we called all our vendors. We had the same vendors. We were buying from Nike. We were all buying from Nike, Reebok, Zephyr, New Era, 47, was Twins at the time. We were all buying from the top of the world. We were buying from the same vendors. They just happened to be bigger. I started calling these guys because that's who I had the relationship. So I'd call Pete Wilson with New Era or with Top of the World and say, Pete, they owe you $5 million. He goes, yeah. And they owed everybody $5 to $6 million. And I said, Pete, we're not going to give you any money, but I tell you what we will do. We're going to buy their stores and we're going to grow and we're going to kick ass and you're going to make a lot of money. And they're going, oh, guy, I don't know, man. We just got burnt by you guys. I go, no, you got burnt by lids. You can get burnt by Hat World. We're going to do it the right way. And so we convinced the creditors to sell the company to us. We bought it for 3 cents on the dollar. We bought a $150 million company for 16 million. And overnight, what we were allowed to do is we were able to close every single losing store. So if you and I own 100 stores, 50 of them aren't making money. Well, shit, we got 7-year leases. We're screwed. I mean, right? I mean, you can't, the malls are going, I don't care. You're paying me. And so you do the best you can to mitigate the losses, but they're still losses. We went in, 450 stores is what they had. We kept about 290 of them. We lopped off 160 stores that were losing tens of millions of dollars. Overnight, we were a 400 store chain. You put our 150 with their 250. We were a 400 store chain making a shitload of money. Just the minute it happened, we were profitable.
Was that because you could kind of counterbalance that loss of the 160 leases with what was coming in from the other? Or did you manage to get out of those leases of the one?
Those leases were gone. Once we told
wow.
we had like 7 days. And we come in, we go, yeah, we're keeping store 1. We don't want store 2. We want store 3 and 4. We don't want 5. And so we were just, picking them off, and it was like a big board up there. We were going,
whoa,
do we keep this one? Do we keep that one? It was nuts, man. And so we got rid of 100 stores and we owed nothing. Those people that own the malls, they didn't get a dime either. They got 3 cents on the dollar. So we were able to lop off all the losses and keep all the profitable stores. And all of a sudden we're profitable. And so that was huge. Now, the next issue that we saw sort of all the pitfalls, except for when we signed the deal in April of 2001, 2001, we didn't realize that the vendors had shut these guys off months before. So we go, okay, guys, we have 400 stores. And now show me your line of hats for the fall, everybody. All right, we want 200,000 of those and 100,000 of those, 12,000 of those, 15,000. Me and Charlie brought the buyer shit. It was like a whirlwind. It was like you going into the grocery store after smoking a joint and you haven't eaten in 2 days. You got a cart and you're just pouring, So we're ordering all this product and we get the orders to the vendors and they go, dude, it's going to be 3 months before we get product in, 6 months. And we go, what? We need product tomorrow. The stores are empty. Because they go, guys, it's going to take us a while to build back up. Plus, we don't trust you guys really 100%. So we're not going to let you guys have that much credit. So we had to pay cash for product. Anyway, from April, May, June, July, August, September, October, for those 6 months, we went from a negative 20% comp to a negative 50% comp. We were bleeding from every organ we could bleed from. I'll never forget, I was out in Boston because we had to go out to Boston and shut their operation down and then move it all back to Indianapolis. I'm out in Boston. I lived out there for about 6 months, closing this thing down. I remember Charlie and I one night are laying on a conference room table, shit, almost crying, going, what the hell are we going to do, man? We can't get product in. We got money. We got stores that need it. We got customers, but the vendors don't really believe in us. They don't trust us. They're slow playing us. So finally, that's where relationships go in. I can tell you the people that believed in us. And so in November, we started getting product in, and for 48 straight months, we had a 10% comp gain. So think about
Oh,
month over month over month, we were 10% up for 48 months. We were open 100 stores a year. We opened 100 stores in 2003 and 4. We were killing it. So we were opening stores, we were printing money, and we were just killing it and then all the stores we closed with lids, those developers came back and they go, hey, South Shore Mall in Boston, you guys closed it up. It looks exactly like it did 6 months ago, except there's no hats in it. The shelves are there. Your sign's still there. Will you guys come back? We go, yeah, if you'll cut the rent 80%, we'll come back. So we cut incredible deals. We went right back in those stores, cost us no build out. We'd go back in those stores and we were killing it. The margins, we were killing. So, man, we grew this thing to a 600 to 700 store chain between 01 and 04. And that's when our private equity guys go, hey, it's time for us to exit this thing. Let's find somebody. And that's when we started to look for a buyer.
what values, like behaviors, would you say the audience, if you could, break them down, this principle, this principle, this principle, to embody that spirit
As far as
in that time? Like, what values made that you guys successful in that time? Like integrity. Like, what would you say are the
100%, 100%. I mean, people believe in people. People buy from people. People trust people. They didn't, Lids burned these guys. And now we were Lids because we were changing the names to Lids, right? We changed from Hat World to Lids at that time because they had more stores. The only reason we did it, it was cheaper to take signs off 150 stores versus 250. Plus, the Lids name is awesome. Let's be honest. I love Hat World. We drew it up on a bar napkin at an Applebee's, but the Lids name is incredible. So I give those guys credit. What a great name, right? Lids, a cap. I mean, it's synonymous. And so, but I think perseverance. I think integrity. I think there were some dark days, and I think that's when people got to believe in you and they're working for you. They gotta, and I'm talking about the Lids people. I mean, we were hiring people on a whim saying, man, come work for us. We need you and we're going to kill this thing, even though we weren't sure at that point we were. But yeah, I'd say perseverance. I'd say integrity. I'd say trust. I'd say you had to work. I mean, we were working 80-hour weeks and living away from our families. And I mean, it was, dude, we were all in. So we were either going to sink or swim with this thing.
What do you say to the person that's listening, that's thinking, well, wait, I was just told in this audiobook or on social media that I should be working on my business, or it should be working for me. What's your argument to that? Or what's
Dude,
your thought on that?
I love it. I need to be working on my business, not in my business. I don't know how to do that. I think you can do both. I mean, I tell you this, the only investments that have ever been successful for me are the ones I've been in, not the ones I've been on. So I give some guy $100,000 to open up an ice cream shop, and it sounds like the greatest thing ever because he's gonna stand on his head and serve ice cream. Well, I lose my ass on it. The only ones that work are the ones. That's why I Make My Cap. I'm involved in it. I'm here. I run a baseball team, a wood bat collegiate league baseball team, the Cape Catfish. It's working because I'm there. I mean, I'm there every game. I'm dealing with the players. I'm dealing with sponsors. I'm dealing with vendors. I mean, very seldom have I been able to invest in something and it make me a lot of money unless I'm involved. I like being in the business. That's more comfortable for me, being in the business. So, I mean, I guess work on the business, but if you ain't got a business, how you working on it? You better get in the business and make it a business before you can work. And then if you're going to work on the business, not in it, you better have a shitload of good people. You better have, like Mark Perkins. Mark Perkins can work on his business because he's got Sal, he's got studs there. He's got some awesome people, but he's spent 5 or 6 or 7, I don't even know how long Mark's, 8 years building Pivot. He's got the Pivoteers out there, man. He's had his apostles out there for years. And now day to day, they don't need him in the business. He's better off being the guy out there selling. He's better. He's the carnival guy out there in front of the circus going, hey, come on in and see the bearded lady and see the one-armed midgets and come on in and see all that stuff. That's Mark. He's the ringleader, and that's what they need there now.
What's your views on hard work? How do you define hard work?
Oh, dude, I still today, I'm telling you, it's been about 6 months to launch this business. I work, and you can ask my wife, we just talked about the other day. I get up at 6, I work out a couple of days a week. I'm in the office by 7:30. I'm working till 5 or 6. I go home, and then I start my second job, and that's about 8 o'clock. And I'm on my laptop till midnight, 1 o'clock, get back up at 6. I mean, 16-hour to 18-hour days. I'm still doing that. I'm 59. I've been successful. I still do that. Now, I don't want to do it till I'm 80, and I don't do it every single day. I'm going to leave next Thursday for the lake for 4 days, and I'll shut things off. I'm a little better at shutting things off for a few days now, but I don't know, man. I don't, if you can become incredibly wealthy working 40 hours a week, more power to you. I mean, who wouldn't do that if you could do it? I just think today, so many young people look at it and go, hey, I'm going to be a YouTuber, man. I'm going to be a podcaster. I'm going to be a this, I'm going to be a that. And you're going, oh yeah, I'm working 30 hours from home and I'm going to do nothing, dude. I'm going to make money. I'm going to Snapchat. I'm on a TikTok. and I'm going, okay. I mean, and there have been a few people that have been able to do it. Charlie D'Amelio. I know the D'Amelio family very well. So, that's lightning in a bottle. I'm telling you, that's 1 in a million. Hard work. I look at you, Perkins, and me. There's 3 guys. We weren't able to TikTok our way to a car payment. You're in a Marriott hotel, man, in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean,
Ambassador Elite. We live here. We live here. My wife too. I mean, really, I'm on her account, so we live here.
I love it.
Man, what about as far as, let's say the listener wants to really undermine their culture? What are some habits you've seen over the years that business owners do to break culture down in a bad way?
In a bad way. I think the easiest way that I think is for people to come in and talk a big game and talk about all this stuff and talk about culture, maybe even mention the word, and talk about all these great things, and then not be there and not be part of it. So you're going to tell all these people all these great things about your company and what you're going to do, and you're not there to do any of those, or you're one of those, I call it the pigeon theory of management. You're one of those owners that flies in about once or twice a week, shits on everybody's head, and then you leave. So you come in, you disrupt everything going on in an office environment, come in and tell everybody what they're doing wrong. And I can't believe this, I can't believe that. And hey, man, but don't you love working for me? I give you guys free coffee and whatever. And they leave. And then people are going, what the hell just happened? Then 2 more weeks you fly in and shit on somebody else's head. I mean, I call it the pigeon theory of management. I don't know if there's a book written about it, but I think that's another way. I mean, I've always been man, do as you say. I told a group of people this the other day. I was able to coach a football team for the local college. It was a kind of a fundraiser, and I was talking to some people. And I said, man, I think the reason I've been successful is, man, I've always been third. And I go, I like being third. And they go, what do you mean you like being third? I go, well, I'm pretty strong in my faith, so I've always put God first. And when I mean that, I mean, I try to be as humble and kind to people as I possibly can. How hard is it to open a door? How hard is it to be nice to people? It is so much easier to be kind than it is to be a jerk. And number 2, I put other people ahead of myself, my family, my friends. Servant leadership. You've heard that term. I believe in servant leadership. Serve others. And if you do that, it comes back tenfold. And then then you're third, right? So it's God, it's people, other people, and it's you. And I tell people that has served me so well because if you have that mentality, and I've been able to keep it, is that you can't help but be humble, because none of this is your doing. You're a vessel, and you're there for whatever reason that is. And then when it comes to other people, just treat your employees just treat your employees good. Just do what you're telling them you're going to do. You know, find ways at Lids. Man, we came up with half day Fridays, and we go, hey, here's the deal. Everybody's working 8 to 5. Tell you what, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, you guys come in at 7 and leave at 5. Monday through Thursday, you can leave at 11 o'clock on Fridays. Oh shit, people went nuts. They'd come in, they'd work an extra hour Monday through Thursday. They'd come in and work 3 or 4 hours on Friday. And dude, and well, we didn't understand what that one is. These people then went out with each other because their husbands or wives didn't think they'd be home till 4 or 5 o'clock. So they'd go golfing, or they'd go bowling, or they'd go to the bar, or they'd find something to do, and it built even more culture. Or sometimes they did go home and take care of the kid or take their wife out. But the point is, it was just one of those deals where you're going, for 3 months of the year, the productivity in the summertime, hell, everybody's looking out the windows anyway, man. And so let them have something to look forward to every Friday. And so we figured out ways to let people just have fun, you know. So we closed down. One of the best things we ever did is March Madness. That Thursday and Friday of March Madness, when, you know, it's crazy. We shut the office down. Bing, you're done. Hey, if you don't like basketball, stay home. But we really encourage you to come meet us. We would buy out a bar, Buffalo Wild Wings, Ale Emporium. We'd buy the bar out. We'd bring our vendors in, and our vendors would pick up the tab. We ran up 2, 3, 4, $10,000 tabs with 50, 60 people. We'd invite their wives and husbands and boyfriends, girlfriends, and we'd shut down. So here we are, 10 o'clock in the morning when it tips off till, you know, and people could leave whenever they wanted. If they wanted to leave and make it a half day off, but that Thursday and Friday of March Madness, we were shut down. I go, we got to live what we are. We sell sports. We're caps. That March Madness is the biggest college thing that goes on. Let's make sure we enjoy it and we live that culture. And so and you know what? Perkins asked me this the other day. We didn't really just come out and say culture. We just did things, and then people would come from other companies and they go, dude, the culture here is awesome. We go, what? No, just the atmosphere and God, the lightheartedness, and people are running around the office laughing, and you guys, nobody clocked in and out. People leave for lunch, they leave for lunch, they come back. Nobody's watching somebody going, hey, dude, you left at 12. It's 1:05, you're late. No, none of that. Let everybody self-police everybody else. Trust me, if you're not pulling your weight in a good company, somebody's going to call you out anyway. The boss doesn't have to call you out.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you've got a group of buyers or a HR or accounting, if everybody's held to a standard, everybody knows what the standard is, the company's great, everybody's having fun, but one of those people are taking advantage. They show up at 8:30 instead of 8 when everybody else does. They leave a little early. They take a longer lunch. I don't care, but I tell you, the other 4 accounting people do, because they're still lifting that person up, and they're going, dude, either figure it out and join with the rest of us, or we're going to figure out a way to get rid of you. And so, I mean, our department sort of self-policed themselves. We didn't have to keep an eye on people. People did it themselves. And people, when everybody else around you is doing their job plus because they love being there, and you're doing your job minus, it's going to show up. It sticks out, right? And those people just leave because they go, oh, shit, I don't fit here, man. I'm not into this, man. I don't know. These people come to work early because they love coming to work. These people stay late. They're not even getting paid to stay late. They stay late. That's not me, man. I'm not that. And so we very seldom did you have to get rid of people. It just, you know, it self-policed itself.
What was your philosophy on customer service?
I mean, there's only one philosophy, the customer. I mean, that's it. I don't care. I mean, it didn't matter what people brought in a hat, and it was worn, and they said it was discolored or whatever. We gave them a new hat. Foot Locker taught us that the customer is always right. Period. End of story. Nothing. By the way, I always told our employees, these are not your hats. They are my hats. And I'm telling you, somebody comes in and they don't like their cap, give them a new cap, give them their money back. That simple. You're never going to get in trouble.
Wow.
You write down on the thing, hey, customer didn't like his cap. No questions asked. And when you do that, most of the time people will take an exchange. So most of the time it's not an issue anyway. They wanted money back. They wanted money back. I just told the employee, don't take it personal. They're not bringing the cap back because they didn't like you. they're not bringing the cat back because they don't like me. They're just bringing the cat back because whatever who cares? But it's not your cap. It's my cap. Give it back to them. Give them money back. And we never had an issue.
What do you think that did for the customer?
Huge. I think I can tell you what it does for me. If I go to a restaurant and have a meal and it's not quite up to standard for whatever reason, service or whatever, I love when somebody comes down and goes, "Hey man, my boss, he knew this took 35 minutes. That's twice as long as it normally takes. We're going to take 20% off your meal." You don't have to do that. We were in no hurry anyway. My wife and I don't get time together. We're enjoying a second bottle of wine. Who cares? They go, no, we're going to take 20% off the meal. I looked at my wife and go, "Oh, we're coming back here." I mean, we're coming back. They don't even have to do that because I appreciate them coming out and acknowledging it. If you acknowledge it, to me, that's a win. That's all I need is you to go, "You know what? We're better than this. We're sorry. Thank you for coming in. Give us another chance." But then when you go above and beyond, you give me a little deal, I'm coming back. And so I believe that even the mad customers that come in and stomping around and going, "I don't have a receipt, but I'm not happy with my purchase." Yeah, no problem. What do you want? You want your money back, or you want a new hat? You guys give us money back even if we don't have a receipt? Sure. That's all right. You know it is. And sometimes they wouldn't buy them. They'd buy them at Foot Locker or somebody else. We didn't care. I said, "Man, if you do that, they're going to leave there and they're going to go, 'You're not going to believe this shit. Those guys gave me my money back. I didn't have a receipt.' Next time your son goes, 'Hey, Dad, I want a hat.' Hey, we're going to Lids." Or somebody says, "I need a present for somebody." I'm going to Lids. So I just think you build that service over time. And I don't care if you're in a business out there, and I don't know who listens to this or how many people listen to this, or if they're in business or what they're doing. If customer first isn't your model, I don't care what it is, then your model is broken. Because if I'm the customer, you're selling me advertising or you're selling me a billboard and I don't get the return on investment that you sold me, and I come to you, you look at me and go, "Glenn, dang, I tell you what, everybody we've had, the data shows that your business should have went up 10%. Well, it only went up 2%. And I bought what you sold me. You know what? Take care of me, whatever that is. I tell you what, Glenn, we're going to give you another month for free." All right, that's cool. Let's see what happens in month 2. Whatever it is, sometimes I'm the customer. Most of the time I've been the business. You've got to take care of the customer. I don't know any successful person that would have any other theory.
What was the inspiration behind make my cap?
Yep, make my cap. Man, I've been out of the hat business for 5 years, and I'm just itching to, when you build what we built, it's just in your DNA. And so about a year and a half ago, I'm sitting around, and there's a company up north about 50 miles called Cap America. And they were a cap manufacturer. They are a cap manufacturer, and they sold to distributors. They sell to distributors, and they're still here. And I went up there, and I had never seen their operation. I don't know why. I just went up there one day and met the owner, met the CEO, and it was an incredible facility. 480 embroidery machines, Baird machines, and it was you could eat off the floor. They had employees, were having fun. Technology, they're ahead of their time, and they're in a little town of 4,000 in Fredericktown, Missouri. If you've ever been there, there's a few stoplights and a school. And so I was impressed, and I said, "Guys, you need to be direct to consumer with what you have here, because you've got everything." They go, "Yeah, but that's not our model. We sell to distributors, and then the distributors sell to the consumers." I go, "Well, tell you what, I'm going to build a website. Will you guys be my back end? You guys be my manual. I'll just contract you guys. That way we'll build it. We do the order. It gets sent up to you guys. You guys make the caps and you ship the caps for me. We'll pay you whatever we agree to," right? They love the idea because they contract for all kinds of people. I mean, New Era, the Kansas City Chiefs, won 2 Super Bowls. Well, you can't get enough Chiefs product in that first 2 or 3 weeks. So people were sending blank hats to Cap America. They'd finish them and then they'd deliver them to Kansas City. So they do stuff like that anyway. They look for contract work. Well, I'm contract work. Some weeks are better than others. Some weeks we're sending them a lot of business. Some weeks we're not. We're trying to build this thing up. But it was easy for me to come up with this and have a good back end. Lids does this. We did Lids Create Your Own 15 or 18 years ago. This is nothing new. There's a 100 people out there doing this, but Lids has to buy the machines. Lids has to hire the people. Lids has to train the people. If the people quit, they got to retrain the people. In my model, I don't have to train anybody. I work with what they've already got. So to me, it was a simple model. I'm competing against the big boys. I don't have near the money they have for marketing. Right now, we're learning that space. All these paid ads. You've got guys like Let's Create Your Own and other people I won't mention that are spending $10,000 a day on paid ads. We're spending $300 a day. We're not there. Now, will we grow to if we continue to spend money and it shows an ROI? Shit, I'll spend $10,000 a month. I'll spend $10,000 a day. I'll spend whatever it takes. I mean, but I'm not going to start out doing that. First of all, I want to slowly grow this thing so that we can exceed the customer's expectations. So we're trying to ship stuff out in 2 weeks or less. Everything we do, we make a mistake, we're going to fix it immediately. You want to call and talk to the owner, I'm here. I mean, I look at somebody, they create a cart and they abandon the cart. I'll go on there and I'll text them. I'll go, hey, Jay, I just saw you on my site last night. You guys, you built, an order for 12 caps and then you got it to the cart, but you abandoned it. Anything I can help you with? I'm the founder, Glenn Campbell, so I'll text people. Sometimes I'll call people. And again, you can do that when you're small. And I think if you can do that and those stories get out there, or if you send an email going, man, I'd like to talk to Glenn. Well, Glenn's going to call you back. On these big companies, branded bills, I don't know who their founder or CEO is, but are they calling you back? Maybe they are. Is Let's Create Your Own? Are they calling you back? Maybe they are. I don't know. To me, I want to grow this thing. I have no crazy plans or thoughts of this thing being $1 billion company, $100 million company. I swore once at Lids, we were doing almost $1 billion. We had 10,000 employees. Wow. I said, if I ever start something again, I want to start small and I want to keep it controllable. Not that 10,000 employees isn't controllable. It is, but I want to keep it to where let's build a 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 or $50 million business. Why? I'm almost 60 years old. Let's build a fun little business. Let's make it profitable. Let's hire people and let's let them grow in this company and let them make the money. Let's get some people. Maybe we give them a little bit of ownership. Maybe we give them some incentives they would have never gotten in a bigger company because they're part of a startup. And so that's what we're doing. We've got some young people that were, some graphic designers and some other people that we're hiring. And you know what? My goal is to, as we grow this thing, take them along with me. People that may make 50 or 60 or 70,000, maybe 3 or 4 years from now, they're making 125,000 because if they go somewhere else, they wouldn't make it, but they helped this startup. And I'd love to do it that way. Pay it forward a little bit.
Let's say that someone that you would want to work alongside every day is listening to this. They haven't made that connection. What character traits you look for in hiring people?
Man, I look for somebody that wants to, again, I know that Mark Perkins, I tell Perkins this, he scares the shit out of me. I looked at him, I said, dude, you send videos out at 1 a.m. and your people are sleeping and you're gonna make them feel like they're not working hard enough, dude. And that's not, you don't want to make your employees feel like just because you don't have a life, and I give Perkins shit, just because you want to do that and that's your thing, people have to have some balance, right? And I guarantee it, if he listens to this, he'll tell, he knows I'm right. There's got to be some life balance, but I'm like Perk in the fact that when I'm unbalanced, it's because I love what I do and I love work and I want it to be right. And so I am a little unbalanced. I've always been a little unbalanced. Now, the older I've gotten, I pick and choose the unbalanced times. My wife and daughter went to the lake for the last couple of days. Oh, it's just me and the dogs. You know what? I'm working as much as I want to work, because who cares? I only have to answer to me. But now when they're home, we're going to do something this weekend and I'll shut it down, right? So I tell Perk, just pick and choose when you do it. So if I'm looking for qualities, I want somebody that's willing to work. If you're going to be an 8 to 5er and that's what you want to do, that's okay. Maybe I need an 8 to 5er to answer the phone sometimes, but you're not going to be one of the people I invest my time into. I want to invest my time and treasure and talent into somebody that truly wants to be something. Doesn't mean you have to work 100 hours. I just want you to know that if it gets a little crazy, I know you leave at 4:30, but this might be a 6 o'clock night. Or, you know what? We probably need to come in early tomorrow because we're never going to get this done before the weekend. And I want you to look at me and say, no problem, dude. What time are you coming in? I'm gonna come in at 7 instead of 8. I'm there. Those are the kind of people without hesitation. Believe in me, because if you do, I'm going to believe in you and make it worth your while. Those are the people, and you know early on who they are. You know early on who are the people that are clocking in and clocking out, and the people that don't. I'll give you an example. This kid named Logan. I met with him yesterday at Catfish. We were cleaning out. First day he worked for me. He filled out his I-9, his W-4. Logan's a kid that he's in college. He referees. He's got other jobs. And he said, Mr. I went and I spoke up at the college. He came and talked. He goes, Mr. Campbell, I'd love to work for the Catfish this summer. I said, cool, dude. Let's send me your resume. We met. I hired him. Never talked money, nothing. He came in and I said, hey man, you haven't asked me how much I'm going to pay you. He goes, I don't care, dude. I want to work for the Catfish. I've already had internships. I just want to work for the Catfish. I need jobs. I worked at the country club. This is a job I can do at night, blah, blah, blah. And I go, so you're doing it for free? He goes, that's what you want me to do. Whatever you want. I want to work for you. I want to be part of it. And so whatever that means, I'll do it. And I said, dude, so, I'm going to pay him whatever it is, $15 an hour, whatever the rate is that I'm paying these guys in the summertime. But that's a kid that if we do well, I'm going to walk up to him and hand him $500 cash or $1,000 cash at the end of the year. Not even going to ask. I'm just going to walk up to him and hand him cash. And so, dude, thank you. I can already tell he's going to be one of the hardest working kids. He's never going to ask a question. He is going to be there. He's going to do whatever you need him to do. Hey, the parking attendant didn't show up. Can you go park cars for the first hour? Hey, the ticketing guy, can you do whatever? He is going to do anything and everything. I love a kid like that. And if that kid down as a reference, I will go to the end of the earth to get him his foot in the door anywhere. And if I have a business that I can hire that kid, I'd hire him tomorrow. And so those are, those people right away when you meet them. And this kid's only 20 or 21 years old. How he's got that skill set already. He's an old soul. He just gets it. He's Mark Perkins 20 years ago, and he doesn't even know it. He doesn't know how good he'll be, and he's a smart kid. So I love people like that.
How can people that want to get potentially close to you to interview, to potentially work for your company, best way to reach you?
Glenn at makemycap.com. Yeah, Glenn at makemycap.com. I'd love, especially anybody in this area, I'd love some graphic design folks, because that's really what we need. What I learned so far, most of these companies don't have a retail brick and mortar store. We decided to open a brick and mortar store, and I'm sitting in it right now because I'm sitting here going, we got to have an office anyway. Let's open the front half up. We'll put all the hats that different hats that we're making for companies. We'll put them on one wall. It's like an inspiration wall. And on the other wall, we'll carry some blanks or some local high schools. So people are coming in and they're going, so you guys will do one hat? We go, yeah, my graphic designer will design it. Maybe they have a logo. Maybe we don't. If you buy one hat, it may cost you $45, right? Because we got to digitize it. And when you digitize a hat, it costs X amount. Well, you buy so many hats, hell, the digitize, it's free then. But you buy one hat, there's a digitizing fee. It's a one-time cost. But so there's some fees involved when you do one. But I look at people and I go, all right, so one hat costs you $50. Do you need 12 hats? No, I just need one. Well, I can give you 12 hats for $30, not 50, but now you're spending $360 you only need one hat. Spend 50 for one hat. Who cares?
Everyone that ever comes on the Culture Matters podcast, I can mail them a hat through you.
100%. They could, I'll send them one cap. We've done it a ton. So people rolling in here and they'll come in and we'll design a cap and we get it to them. And we had a mayor from across the river. He's the mayor of East Cape Girardeau. It's in Illinois though. This guy is he is still alive. This guy's 90 years old. He is the all-time leading point scorer in Illinois high school basketball history without a three-point line. So this guy scored 3,000 and some points, and there was never a three-point line. So
Wow.
this guy came in and he wanted a hat that had that. So we made him a hat. And dude, I mean, Army, we're getting a lot of veterans coming in here and going, hey, I want to do a hat and I want to put, my battalion, my platoon, when I was in Vietnam. And by the way, I want to do 3 of them. I want to put my son's name on the, son of a Vietnam vet. And so we're getting a lot of those guys coming in because nobody wants to sit and do 1 or 2 or 3 caps. Now, we are going to go bankrupt if all we do is 1 or 2 or 3 caps every day for people like that. But I'm one of those guys that you do enough 1 or 2s or 3s and people start hearing about that. All of a sudden somebody comes in and says, hey, you did a hat for so-and-so, man, can you do this for my landscaping business? I need 36. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm getting ready to have a golf outing. Can you do 100? Yes. So again, it's the whole paying it forward, treating people right. We're not making money off of 1 hat, even though it costs you $40. We're not making money off of it. But what we are doing is creating goodwill. And in this day of social media, good posts, good PR. I mean, that's how it works. I hate the world we live in and the fact that we could do 99 things right, have 99 great orders. But if we screw your order up and you happen to be one of those people that want to stick it in my butt, you put a 1-star on there and I can't believe this shit. And all of a sudden Google's going, hey dude, you got a 1-star rating. I'm going, are you kidding me? We do it right 99. If somebody served me a burger right 99% of the time, I'd eat there every day. But you're going to tell me because I had 1 bad meal that restaurant's terrible? It's not. It's just 1 bad day.
You bring up a good point because then people will make fake reviews to try to cancel that or counterbalance. What do you think of that?
I think it's a joke. I mean, we talked about the same thing. We gotta create a bunch of fake 5-star review. It's funny. Beth, my graphic designer, walked out here today, probably about an hour ago, and she goes, hey, I just saw we had a bunch of 5-star reviews today, 3 or 4 or 5. And it must have been somebody getting orders. And the thing is, what we haven't done a good enough job on, we're still figuring out the whole, landscape out there. We started advertising in 3 states, Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas. That's right around here, because those are 2-day ships and we can get stuff out to people. Then we opened it up to Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas, because those are big states, sunshine states, people wear hats. And now we're getting orders in from those states. So we're slowly getting this thing out there. But what we haven't done great is going out there and going, hey, make sure you give us a 5-star, give us a 5-star. We just haven't done that yet. And we will. We'll make sure we pay more attention to that. But the fact that Google Analytics, and I know Zuckerberg and all those guys, I get it. It does mean something, but so much of that stuff is fake that, do you really? I mean, people go, oh God, I don't stay in an Airbnb unless it's a 5-star. Well, here's the deal, dude. If they got a 1-star, they took that shit down, number 1. And number 2, if they did, they went out and paid people to give them, hey, you come back here, you can stay for free. Just make sure you write a great review and a 5-star. So I don't know. Do you really? You're really going to go there only because of the rating? I don't know. There better be more to it than that. I'm telling you, you'll be disappointed if you believe in every 5-star rating you see, I think.
I want to go back to something because real quick, we talked about hard work, what you look for in people, and how people will self-police. What do you say to those that are listening to this that they own the company, but they're leaving at like 4 p.m., 3:30? What do you say? You're in a room alone with them. What do you say?
I'd say, I mean, I don't know how then you're the guy that they're going to look at and go, God, here's Glenn. How much money has he got? Look at the car he drives. Look at the tan he's got. I know he's got a lake house, and here I am. This guy leaves at 3 o'clock every day. He's golfing with his buddies, and here I am. He's busting my balls because I left at 5:30 and there was still work to do. Dude, he only pays me till 5. I stayed till 5:30. Why do I have to worry about that? He comes in the next day and goes, dude, why is there still stuff here? Why'd we screw that up? Why'd we do that? Hey, by the way, guys, I'm leaving at 2:30. I got a golfing game. I mean, I don't know. It's leading by example. It's just like your kids. I mean, if you're going to tell them not to drink and you're hammered, I'm not sure really, are they going to buy it? Yeah, Dad, really? Because you stumbled in, slept on the floor last night, but I shouldn't drink. Okay. I don't know. To me, it's if you're not going to if you're not willing to do all the things you expect your people to do, then I think you live with the consequences. You know what? If sometimes you have an incredible culture and you've got, your right and left hand man or woman, and all of your top brass are incredible, then you know what, maybe you do what you want to do and you're not necessary anyway. But it takes a long time to get a business to the point to where the entrepreneur themselves aren't necessary, because as an entrepreneur, nobody will treat the business like you'll treat the business, and nobody should treat the people as good as you treat the people. So I think you get what you put into it is what you get out of it.
My next question on that would be, how long before those great people start resenting that person?
100%. That's the deal. And what'll happen, you got a stud, you're paying that stud, 200 grand a year, man. They couldn't make that anywhere, but they're tired of going, dude, I'm tired. I mean, I don't get to see my wife because, yeah, Glenn's paying me great, but he's paying me great because I'm doing his job and my job. And I got to take care of every issue. He's the owner, man. Why isn't he dealing with this complaint? He's the owner. Why isn't he dealing with this HR issue? Why is all that stress on me, man? And all of a sudden they're going to go, no. Somebody's going to come along and go, dude, you're killing it. I know how well you do for Glenn. What's he pay you? I mean, you like your job? Are you happy? They go, to be honest with you, man, I'm not. I mean, it's really not the money. I just don't, the stress is killing me. I tell you what, man, I'd love to talk to you. And all of a sudden you're going to come in one day and go, Glenn, man, I love you. I mean, you've been good to me, man, but I'm leaving. And you're going to go, what? And once somebody says they're leaving, you can try to talk them in, you can pay them more money, and they may stay for a minute, but I'm just telling you, when somebody tells you they're leaving, they are leaving. You're never going to truly get them back. They may stay for a year, they stay for a month, they may stay for 3. Eventually they're gone. It's just like, I think in a marriage or in a relationships, you're in a marriage and your wife, she looks at you one day and says, I want a divorce. And you go, oh my God, honey, what? And you go to counseling, you go this. I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to end up in a divorce sometime down the road. Now I know there are things, I shouldn't say that, not every time. Things can be saved. I'm just telling you, if you lose an employee, you've lost them. So I always tell people, when you lose an employee, you should look right in the mirror and go, what the hell did I do? What did I do or what didn't I do? Because people leave people. They don't leave jobs, they leave people. So if people quit, they're leaving you. Take it personal. If somebody leaves, and now if they leave for a better opportunity that you can't give them, shoot, I give them a hug and a kiss and say, good luck. I don't have that opportunity for you right now. I may never have that opportunity. You should go. That's an opportunity you can't pass up. That's a different story. But if somebody leaves for a lateral move or even less, or go to a different career because you killed them, you better look in the mirror and go, well, what am I doing? I always said that to people. They're going, I can't believe I'm leaving them. Well, they're leaving you, brother. You're a store manager and you can't keep people. It's not because of lids. It's because of you. How are you treating them? What do you do? How are you training them? What are you putting into those people? They're leaving you. They're not leaving the company. So
from what I'm learning from this conversation, the trust of the employee, their trust comes from the dedication they see in their leadership.
I 100% believe that.
Their loyalty comes as after that.
I agree.
What are your thoughts?
If you called 100 people that worked at Lids under me for any amount of time, I think they would tell you that none of them, there are times they may have outworked me, but they know that I would do anything that that I asked them to do. When I came to town, when I went and visited stores, I'd walk into a store and never met the manager. Hey, Susie, how you doing? Glenn Campbell. Oh, I know who you are. You're the guy in the video when I started the first day. And yeah. Hey, how do you like it so far? I've been here 2 months, whatever. Hey, Susie, you had lunch? You had dinner? Depends on what time it was. No, I'm here by myself today. Because in a lot of stores, you're single covered, right? You don't have 2 employees because it depends on the time of day and how busy the store is. I gotta tell you what, I'm going to buy you. What do you want? What do you like in the mall? Chick-fil-A. I tell you what, I'm going to go buy Chick-fil-A. What do you want? I'm going to bring it back. You go to the food court and eat. Or better yet, here's $20, Susie. You go eat on me. Well, who's going to run the store? Susie, I opened 100 of these. I've ran them all. Take off. And I'd run the store for half an hour, 45 minutes. They'd come back and they couldn't believe it, right? And what would happen is I'd get to the next store a half an hour away and the story had already spread. People are, so people go, you don't believe this shit. the co-founder came in, he bought me dinner, he worked my store. We were talking a little bit. He bought me a hat. Dude, it's unbelievable. He was asking me about my kids. Man, I can't believe this guy. And the thing is, I genuinely meant it. It wasn't like a show. I genuinely enjoyed talking to him and get to know him. And if they had if they had things that we could do better, I wanted to listen. And you start doing that, and all of a sudden the next store can't wait to meet you. And then the next store. And then when you can't get to all the stores, people are going, oh man, I can't believe you didn't get out to my store, man. I go, dude, I didn't have that time. Next time I'll visit your store. I mean, and that was the culture that we had. And then you think about 50 district managers doing the same thing and 12 regional directors, wow, same thing. Everybody doing that same thing, going out there and, hey, when I do a store visit, dude, when I'm coming in, I'm going to buy you lunch. I'm going to buy you dinner. I'm going to work beside you. So many district managers in retail used to come in the store, point out what was going wrong, bust somebody's balls a little bit, wow, then go in the back room and sit down and work on the laptop. Nah, to me, I told people, don't even bring a laptop. Bring your backpack in if you want to, because maybe you've got something you need in it. Work on the floor, work with the people. You're only going to be there 6 or 8 hours. Get to know that person, man. Show them, don't tell them what to do. Show them what to do. Have fun with them, man. Talk to them. Get to know them, because here's the deal. When people want to leave, it's hard to leave people they like. It's hard to leave people that they've spent time with and that know them, and ask about their kids, and hell, maybe if we go in town and somebody said, yeah, I'm off at 5, I can't do dinner, my son's got a basketball game. Hell, we'd go to a basketball game. We'd go to a high school basketball game in frickin' nowhere, Iowa. And then afterwards we'd go out and have a bite to eat. And we'd sometimes take the family, and people go, holy, no, nobody does this. Oh, we do. Because we're not just everybody. We care about you, because really when we leave Coralville, Iowa, store number 35, when we leave there, you know who they think owns it? They think you do. The people in Iowa walk in, when they want an Iowa hat, they don't go, hey, by the way, is Glenn Campbell the founder from Indianapolis here? No. They look for the manager, the assistant manager, the employee. That's who they love. And so if we don't love you and you don't love them, we don't have any customers. So, when we leave here, it's your store. And so you're that important. So whatever you need, let me know. I mean, store managers used to call me all the time. People go, you're crazy. You have 1,500 stores and everybody's got your number. Call me. Let's figure it out. And some people would, but not everybody would. Just the fact that they knew that they had your number and they could call you was all they needed. They knew that
somebody. What about speed? Speed to communication. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's incredibly important. I still think it is today. I mean, I try to clean whatever I've got, inbox, voicemails. I try to get back to them in that day. I do. And if I can't, I'll text somebody and say, hey man, Dave got away from me. You available tomorrow? Yeah, I'll call them. So to me, I think, and in this world we live in, it's so impersonal, man. I still love the phone call versus that's why I enjoy this. We could have done this via phone, but it's fun to look at somebody, see the facial expressions, laugh about what hotel you're in. It just, to me, that's still, I don't think that ever goes away. I don't think face-to-face personal communication, call on the phone ever goes away. I know we've got robots, we got AI, we've got virtual this, virtual that. I don't think, and maybe it's because I've always been in the service industry. People still want to be waited on. I hate going into a place, Burger King. I was in, what mall were we in? Or we were in the Naples airport. Naples?
Oh, wow. RSW?
Fort Myers.
Yep.
Fort Myers airport. And I think the Burger King in there, you got to order on the screen. I hate that. I hate it. I can do it. I'm not ignorant, but I hate it, man. I'm pushing stuff and you're getting there. And the guy's asking the same questions. Hey, did you want only ketchup on that? Well, that's what I put in the machine. It would have been a hell of a lot easier if I just walked up here and said, hey, can you give me a Whopper meal with ketchup only? Man, in fact, it took me less time to say that and for you to type it in. So I don't know. I know there's reasons for it and it probably makes sense in many businesses, but and again, my kids tell me I'm old and that's probably the truth. I still believe face-to-face is the way.
What does it mean if the employees feel that the ownership is too busy? What could that
I, I,
like too busy for them? Like if they
then
feel or
I,
they yeah, the sentiment is, oh, they're very busy. What do you think that
I
said?
think, well, you'll never get them to buy in. I mean, if you're asking people to buy into what you're selling, if you're too busy to pay it, if you don't value their time and the fact that when you tell them, hey man, if you got something on your mind that can make us better, if you need something, let me know. And then they let you know and they don't hear back from you. Okay. Well, he's all talk and no action and that kind of thing. I think you get one chance. You get one chance. You make these bold promises. Hey, you need something, call me. You need my Mark Perkins. I promise you. If one of his realtors said, Mark, dude, can you come out once with me to an open house? Because I just can't figure it out. Mark would be there tomorrow. And the first time Mark doesn't go, I'm telling you, Mark, quit preaching but Mark's one of those guys, he'll go. He'll set the open house up. He'll do it. He loves that. Mark's one of those guys, he's not, there's a lot of show and no go. Mark is all go. He's
Yeah,
no,
I
he does.
really you've given him so much kudos. I think I need to tell the truth as well. I had the honor of spending about 16 hours with him in one day, just to be clear, working.
Oh my
And
God.
then at 12 a.m. when we ended, right, he dropped me off. I found out the next day that he went back to the office after he dropped me off, and now I'm competitive. I'm like, why didn't you bring me back to the office? We could have got shit done.
Yeah,
Meaning, I'm just saying he's one of the most inspiring people to ever work around and be around.
he
So,
is. He's nuts, man. He's just absolutely, I mean, again, I would start a business with that guy tomorrow. The people that are working for him. Now, I will say this. I will bet you there are people that he's too much for. And what I mean by that is they're threatened by somebody that is willing to talk the talk and walk the walk and talk the talk. He is that guy. And by the way, you won't outwork him, but even if you do, I mean, the bottom line is he cares about people. And some people just are threatened the fact that that guy's willing to do that. This guy's doing podcasts at midnight. He's doing a video with his headphones on, jackhammering concrete. The guy's crazy. I mean, but that's just who he is. And if he does that, imagine what he's going to be like in an all company meeting. Imagine what he's going to put into what can he do for your career? I mean, my God, if I was going to be a realtor in the greater Cincinnati area, I tell you what, he'd have my license if he'd take it, because where else would I want to be? You've got all the resources in the world. And I promise you, his door is always open. You come up there and say, Mark, I'm Glenn Campbell, man. I just started 2 months ago. Yeah, I know who you are, Glenn. I'm sorry I haven't met you. What's up? Man, you got a little time? I'd like to talk to you. Or you know what? Man, I've got this situation, or I've got this open house, or I've got something. That dude he's all in. And once you do that for your people, dude, then all of a sudden they're going to they'll run through walls for you. So
what advice do you have to someone that feels like they've built up someone in their company and now they're leaving them to go do bigger and better things? How do they process that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And it marks in that we've all had that happen, right? I've trained people up, paid them well, taken care of them, and they taken care of me. I took that stuff personal for a while in my younger days. I sort of, after years, I looked at it and I go, okay, let's sit back and think. Yeah, initially it hurts, but what did they do for you those 4 or 5 years? Look what they did for your business and for your culture. Look at the people they brought in and were able to keep because they were as good as they were. And you know what? They had the opportunity to go do something. Now, again, that's where you got to do a little look in the mirror and go, okay, they told me there was nothing I did to make them leave, or that there wasn't anything else I could do for them to make them leave. But I really need to revisit that and look at this thing. And so I think every time somebody really important left, everybody's important, but I'm talking about key people that you put a lot of time and money in. When they left, I really wanted to have a heart-to-heart with them and say, man, you're already gone. You can't hurt my feelings. I'm paying you, whatever. You're gone. And I am going to give you I'll do anything in the world. Please, is there something we can do better or you wish we would do? And sometimes you would get them to talk. And so I don't know. It's one of those deals where it does suck when good people leave you. In Mark's industry, especially, you've got people that they'll go somewhere else because they're paying a little higher commission or they don't expect as much. And so Mark goes, shit, I've held this guy's license. I trained them. I've got them. They're somebody doing $5 million a year for me, $10 million a year. And now they're going to this new boutique firm down the road. That, you know, at the end of the day, what can you do? I think you give everything you got to the people you know are going to give you everything they got. And if they leave you, then they leave you. More often than not, you're going to keep most of them. So
When you were like what, 9, 10, you're working with your dad in these stores, right? He's a salesman.
yep.
What values did he exude?
Yeah, it's crazy. He good man. He died back in 2008. It was the All-Star game was in New York because I was out there. I had to fly back. And I barely made it back before he passed. But dad was very intelligent. The guy was he could play the piano. He could play any instrument. So he's very musically inclined. He was in a band. He was an athlete, good basketball and baseball player. And his life changed because he got my mom pregnant when she was 18. So I was the oops, right? He had just turned 19. He was working for a Hallmark, had a great job. He was going places, and all of a sudden, now you've got a kid. So you change from a job that you're not making a lot of money, but potentially you're going to make a lot of money, to going, well, I got to make a lot of money now. So he took some jobs, and he ended up in the job he was in where he sold candy and tobacco off of a truck into C stores. I watched his work ethic. I watched how much he loved his family. I watched how good he was. Back in those days, there was no, you didn't order online, right? Now, if a convenience store sells 60 cases of Coke, Coke knows to deliver 60 more the next day, right? Now, back then it wasn't. You would sell all this, you'd walk in the door, look at what they have on the shelf and go, okay, they're missing this. You'd go out in your truck and you'd fill it up. You'd bring it back in, they'd write you a check, and you go into the next account. So, I mean, you were walking in, selling them, walking out to your truck, filling it up, walking back in, filling their store up, and then going to the next one. And so I'd watch him do that. I'd watch him talk to people. People trusted him. They loved him. He'd come home at night with, you know, a wallet full of money. He'd have to count it, and it would have to equal to what he sold. He let me add it up. So I loved sort of that whole thing. And hell, I thought it was his business. I didn't know he worked for somebody, but that was my sort of, I want to own my own business like that. And when it's all predicated on how good you are to people, I walk into people and they like me. I do what I tell them I'm going to do. They can depend on me. I'm always in a good mood. I'll take care of them, and they buy more. So I wanted to be in a business like that. And so that's how he inspired me. And he worked his ass off, never made a lot of money, was very happy for me when I did this. Told me I was crazy when I started it. I couldn't believe it. I was going to sell hats. But when we sold the company in 2004, he only lived a few years after that, but we sold the company. I'll never forget him. You know, I bought him and mom a new car. I bought them a house. They had never owned a house. They'd always rented. And I'll never forget, my dad looked at me and he goes, it was on his deathbed. He looked at me and he said, you always treated people good when you were little, when you didn't have any money. And now that you have money, you still treat people exactly the same way. Nobody would know whether you had $1 or $1 million. And I thought that was one of the highest compliments he could ever pay me.
Glenn, you got to come back.
I would love to come back, dude. I would love to come back. I've enjoyed it, man. Again, I don't know you other than the few times, you know, the hour we spent, 2 hours we spent, but I feel like I've known you forever, man. Cause you're an old soul. You're not very old. I can look at you and you gotta be under 40. Am I right?
Yes, sir. 32.
Yeah, exactly. You're a kid. And so you figured a lot. You've got 1,600 episodes, but I went and listened to some of them, listened to bits and pieces of some of them. You get it. I mean, you already understand that, that treating people the right way is the only way. And you could talk to 100 people that are successful, and culture means something a little bit different to them. They may do things a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, most successful people that have created a culture, it's because they treat people the right way. People want to work for them, man. They just do. And so when you got a job, when you've got something that people want to do, and then they want to work for that person, man, it's a home run.
If you're listening to this episode, follow Glenn. Where can people follow you best?
Shoot, you grip my, you're right. I have the Flinkin. You can find my Flinkin Instagram. I used to do my Flinkin Friday videos. I'm going to start doing that again this Friday, where I do a little, if you have not heard my Flinkin Friday videos,
we need more voices like you, brother. So this is a good, like, accountability. Like, we need some damn good voices out there.
I gotta do that. You can get me at Make My Cap. I'd love for people, if you're out there, shoot, just give us a shot. Just look at it. Shoot, you can, if you're in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, you can catch me at a catfish game. I'll be out there for 2 months running the catfish. Yeah, you can hit me on my Instagram. I think it's my Twitter is I think it's at Wear Lids. Let's see, my Instagram is just my Instagram name. So I don't know, hit me anywhere. You'll find me, Google me. But I'd love to, anybody that's out there that wants to talk like you want to talk. I just it's hard not to get excited about culture, about people. And so congratulations on what you're doing, man. I hate that you're in hotel. I feel like I wish I was there and we'd go out and have a beer and we can talk all night, man.
We're going to get together immediately.
Yeah, I'm going to find my way to Naples again, find you.
Everyone, thank you all for listening to this. I challenge you to follow our friend Glenn. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast.
Love it, baby.
And we will see you next time in the Culture Matters podcast.
All right. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.